Nearly 11:15, it is 5 Live, Thursday morning, Victoria, Derbyshire with you. Welcome to the programme. Just 2 days ago, Libya's Prime Minister Ali Zaidan gave an interview to the BBC calling on Western powers to help stop the spread of militancy in his country. This morning, he was seized by gunmen from a hotel in the capital, Tripoli. And we're now getting reports in the last few minutes that he's been freed. The theories of who was responsible for kidnapping him are confusing. Earlier, an official was quoted as saying Mr. Zaidan had been arrested rather than kidnapped and was being held at a government anti-crime department. However, an initial Libyan government statement said it didn't know why he'd been seized and he'd been taken to an unknown location. Some militia groups are interwoven with government agencies in Libya and hold sway on matters like security. Whatever the explanation, experts are saying the incident reflects the weak and chaotic power structure now in Tripoli, a far cry from the hope and expectation at the time of Gaddafi's fall and death almost exactly 2 years ago. And Nabila, let me bring in you. Thank you for talking to us. Would you say that there is anarchy in Libya, or is that exaggerating?
Well, I don't think it's exaggerated at all. I think there obviously was a kidnapping of some kind, and this is an indictment of what's going on in Libya at the moment. And it definitely illustrates the absolute anarchy following the murder of Colonel Gaddafi in the wake of a rebellion, which was actively supported by the West, including Britain. But what's very, very clear is that the deposing of Gaddafi was everybody's priority a few years ago. And remember how British and indeed French warplanes bombed Libya over many months, but almost no thought was given to what came next. And it was always said that Gaddafi was the strong man who kept all these warring factions apart and in fact ensured stability within a notoriously unstable country. Now that is not my view, but that's very much how he was perceived by the West, as a bulwark against terrorism.
And do you think it was incumbent on the British and the French, for example, to have a plan of what would happen next? Because I recall David Cameron at least saying it will be for the people of Libya to decide how to run their own country. That is not for us to impose.
Well, absolutely. I think, democracy involves people choosing their own representatives, but that's not what the French president at the time, Nicolas Sarkozy, had in mind when he created, the National Transitional Council, which was very much put together, under the supervision of the French government, and which was not representative at all of, the Libyan rebels. In fact, a lot of them opposed the National Transitional Council being their voice. He was, of course, ridden with people who had worked with Gaddafi for many years. And, what's absolutely clear is that nobody is in charge of Libya at the moment, and the disputes are being fought out using all kinds of unpleasant methods, including not just kidnappings but also murders. And there I say the only reason why we're talking about this now is because we're talking about the kidnapping of the Prime Minister, and it was the same when a US ambassador was murdered in Libya.
Yes.
But these dramatic events are symptomatic of a culture of anarchy which all ordinary Libyans have to put up with day in, day out.